Quaid Azam, Part 164. There was a hush in the room, and the most of us felt like shedding bitter tears. Shafi had an alternative proposal. He said to Gandhi, "Let us, the Muslims and the Congress, come to the settlement tonight on these very terms." Gandhi replied, "Shafi, I know my limitations and I cannot do it." And so the party broke up. Shafi and his daughter returned home, and when we reached our flat, father broke down completely and fainted. Gandhi's refusal to commit himself to the terms which the Hindu Mahasabha and Sikh would not accept was part of the same policy which he had followed in India. In the summer of 1931, he was prepared to be a mediator, but would not and could not take sides. Gandhi knew the power of communal appeal, and he also knew what it would mean for Congress if he committed himself publicly to stand against Hindu demands under the existing electoral system, and until such time as it did not become clear to as what concessions were actually forthcoming, such a public stand would only mean loss of the support for the Congress. It was far better, Gandhi must have calculated, to let the government make the decision and carry the attendant unpopularity rather than get the Congress into doing it. And so, having been through the ordeal of negotiations with other delegates, Gandhi put the ball firmly back into the government's court. In the minorities subcommittee, he confessed to being sad and humiliated by his failure to produce settlement, but he attributed it to the fact that the delegation had been selected by the government. What in fact he wanted to say was that it was the government which was demanding communal agreement as the price for discussing political concessions. But such an agreement would be possible only if the government first announced the concessions. How sad, how ironic, how utterly tragic this circular hair splitting. Have a communal agreement and then got concessions, said Raj. No announcement, concessions first, then we will agree amongst ourselves as communities, was the rejoinder. Not long after this second roundtable conference had ended, the Congress resumed civil disobedience that in any event was inherent in the very logic of the situation. Despite all outward show of the conciliation and of the polarization of political forces at the provincial level had by 1928 so divided Indian politics into clearly opposing communal camps that it all seemed fertile for a brief period, and that too only after Gandhi-Irvin Pact, both the Congress and the government had adopted more flexible positions. But alas, that was a very brief episode. In India, before the second round-table conference, Congress had doubtless gained more. However, in London, advantage reverted to the imperial government. It succeeded in making Congress look like another body amongst the many that were then relevant, and this strengthened the Raj's hand in Britain, particularly when the next period of repression in India began. As for the Muslims, Round-Table Conference did nothing to safeguard their position. They were now no longer sure that if and when a decision did finally come, it would be in their favor, which is why the communal award approached. They too turned belligerent. When Gandhi returned to India, the main issue before the government was the Congress Party's cooperation in further constitutional discussions. But so long as to no rent activities, the United Provinces' preparation for conflict in the NWFP continued cooperating was just not possible. Within 6 months, therefore, the government's authority got completely re-established. No rent campaign in the United Provinces died down, and the agitation in the frontier was suppressed. It was time, therefore, to act.